Buying a home is the biggest purchase most of us will ever make. And it's always run on trust. Trust that the photos are real, that the price makes sense, that the person guiding you knows what they're doing. If you've been house hunting lately and something about a listing felt off, the tone a little too polished, the words not quite human, you may have been onto something. A new report suggests more than a third of Canadian real estate listings are written by AI. For homes for sale, it's closer to 4 in 10. And it's not just the words. Earlier this year, a Quebec brokerage had to publicly apologize after AI edited photos made a home look better than it was. Bigger windows, a fence that didn't exist. Buyers are doing it too, asking AI to price a home, to read a contract, to second guess their agent. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it blows up a deal. My guest today sits right in the middle of all of it. David Ursino is a managing broker in Ontario responsible for over 300 agents. And instead of waiting to see what AI does to his industry, he went home one weekend and built his own real estate software from scratch. No coding background necessary. I'm Aalia Adam. This is The Drift, how Canadians are navigating AI. Today, real estate. David, welcome to The Drift.
Thanks so much for having me.
I want to start with what you do. So, what does a day in a life of a managing broker actually look like?
Well, a lot of it is administrative based work. I deal with all the stuff a brokerage typically has to deal with: issues, problems, perhaps an agent has questions, paperwork, all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of administrative stuff. It also involves training, a lot of training. Basically running the brokerage. So every time there's problems, they end up with me, kind of thing, and I solve them for the agents.
And when did AI start playing a role in your work? Like, what did that look like at the beginning?
Year and a half ago, I was sort of introduced to it. We had a speaker come into the brokerage and speak to our agents about AI. I was highly interested in right from the beginning. I've always been into technology. I used to be Vaughn's first real estate video blogger. I've always done stuff with video and with technology, and I have always enjoyed it. So this was the latest sort of thing that piqued my interest, and I started looking into it specifically this year when I joined Claude AI in I want to say like December, January. Really started digging into it, watching a lot of videos, learning about it, listening to people, and eventually adapting it into my workflow at the office. And now it's actually the first thing I open up is my AI systems. I don't go into my email first. I don't go into my text messages first. It is all handled by my AI. I have a dashboard that shows up daily, that's generated daily, and it tells me what I need to work on, what I've forgotten. Don't forget that email you received yesterday. You got to deal with this. You have to create this content. You've got to. So it really, really keeps me on track. I call it my second brain because, look, let's face it, I'm in my mid 50s. My memory's not what it used to be. And it is my second brain. It helps me remember all those little details that can sometimes slip and stuff, right? So it is an active part of my day now. And it doesn't write emails for me, but it can draft them, for example, plus all the other systems that we've been developing and using and creating for the real estate agents and all that stuff.
Yeah, so talk to me about those because you're using it as an assistant, as many people do, but also you're incorporating it in your work.
Yeah, absolutely. If you think of me like someone with knowledge about real estate in Ontario, um, really, I'm just like an FAQ page, right? That's all I am. I answer questions. Most of them are repeated over and over and over, and I keep answering them, right? And yes, that's time consuming, but it's stuff that can be automated, really, right? So, for example, I've built a system called Ask the Manager. I'm basically replacing my job in terms of answers that real estate agents have, and it's done well, and that was challenging, but in order to build it properly, I had to learn about RAG systems, and I had to ingest a whole bunch of knowledge into it from real estate acts, common law, a whole bunch of stuff. that's one little build that I've, sort of done for here. But then there's all the other stuff as well. Things like um, to help the agents actually sell homes. So a lot of the work agents do, let's face it, like we're caught up in so much paperwork, so much paperwork. So I'm showing them ways to shorten that the amount of time they spend in administration, which is what I ended up doing as well. But things like listing presentations and CMAs, comparative market analysis that we do on properties when we have to list them, all those basic tasks can be automated and not look like templates, not be sound automated, right? It's written in their voices and stuff. So it augments their ability to do stuff without hiring somebody to do it for them, which is typically what real estate agents would do. They would, they'd reach a certain level of success, they'd hire an assistant and pass off most of the work to the assistant. Well, that's kind of that part of the job is kind of like being handed off to AI now. And so they're able to free up time that they can then spend to better serve their clients, which is where we are needed, is in that human connection, right? And that can't be replaced by AI. But the agents that are using AI have this sort of like augmented way of being. I call it a superpower because you're just able to get so much stuff done.
Hmm. And was there a specific moment that made you decide this is something you needed to take seriously and even build yourself?
Yeah, that moment came when a certain model from Claude came out in February, I think it was, the Opus models. I started playing around with it. The answers it was giving were really, really good. And, in the past, we'd say AI will get you 80% of the way there. Then the last 20% is yours, right? To verify, to change things. And we had to do a lot of that. With Opus, that changed. It became like 95.5. It's highly, highly accurate. It's good at what it does. But it doesn't replace the oversight that someone who is a registered real estate agent has to have because they are liable, obviously. So that verification check is crucial. And so because of that, I really started using it a lot more. And then I got into the coding side of it, Claude Code, that just boosts your productivity even more. You get full control. It has access to my computer, to my emails, to everything. And agents can do that as well. And to really build on stuff that custom, like very, very custom programs. You basically look at your day, see what is repetitive, and all that stuff can be passed off, right? And it's become simple. The ability to build skills with AI allows someone with no coding background. I don't have a coding background. I've never coded. Um, but it gives the ability to somebody to build stuff, and that the stuff they're building is custom stuff for their specific workflow. Basically, if I were to hire an assistant and train them, go through the process, and explain to them what has to be done, I just do that with AI, and it learns it. It learns it perfectly. You only tell it once, and then you save all that time.
Hmm. So you really saw the benefit of building it yourself instead of seeking these tools elsewhere.
That's exactly it. I challenged myself. Let me build a real estate CRM in one weekend, or let's see if I can do that. And I spent the whole weekend doing that to my wife's dismay. I was on the computer all the time. I had to watch the weekly usage, the daily usage when it resets and all that stuff. And I
Those
built
precious
this.
tokens.
Yeah, exactly. Those expensive, expensive tokens with Fable 5. And I mean, long story short, I built a real estate CRM in a single weekend and it works. It just works, right? I had to, the prompt for it was like 100 lines long. It was a big prompt, right? But that's how I learned so much beyond building the CRM by itself. So it's giving people the ability to build custom software for their needs, which is going to revolutionize not just real estate, every industry.
Hmm. Wow, that's impressive. You don't even need to know how to code anymore. And are you passing this on to your agents?
Yes, they're absolutely using it. I tell them that this is the only skill you need to learn now. It's AI, nothing else, which sounds silly and strange, But it's true for one. And I should also highlight that we don't typically hire brand new agents, right? Brand new agents need to learn some real estate skills, knowledge, all that stuff. So the agents here know what they're doing. But now that, that level, that foundation of knowledge is there, the next skill everyone has to learn is AI. And so that's what we do. We teach them AI. They're all on Claude. I sit down in a room with them, a training room. I put up my computer on the projector. I show them what I'm doing. I walk them through it. We build a whole bunch of stuff together. They customize it for their own needs. So they're really learning the basic skills of AI so that they can take advantage of it. And yeah, as I keep saying, it's a huge time saver.
Hmm. And sort of big picture, how would you say AI is transforming specifically real estate right now?
Yeah, well, in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways. First of all, one thing that real estate agents have to realize, and many don't, is that your clients are using AI. They are actively using AI to try and figure out the price of their home, to ask about questions they have about a contract, to a whole bunch of things. And AI can be so confidently wrong, and someone really, really believes it, right? So without that expert knowledge, it can be difficult. But in terms of transforming the industry, I mean, yes, there's going to be agents that unfortunately are going to get caught up in, nah, I'm stressed. There's so much to learn, especially the older agents. Unfortunately, not all. I've taught AI to like 70-year-old agents, and they're actively using it. But some that are just sort of resistant to the change, and that's going to be a problem. Look, AI doesn't expose the good agents. It exposes the ones whose entire value was sort of like being a human search engine. So, like in the past, if your pitch was, I have access to listings, well, that game is over. It's long over. If your value is judgment, negotiation, and accountability, well, now you've got a superpower because you can use those superpowers yourself, which is what you should be doing, and pass off the rest, all the information, all that kind of stuff to the AI. So there's going to be, a changeover, a changing of the guard of both real estate agents, brokerages, brokers, everything is going to change our industry drastically. That's on a personal sort of work level, an office level, a brokerage level kind of thing. It's going to really change the way we work, especially with stats and contract writing and all those things. But I think I think a lot of the industry sort of like been coasting on this, and the AI tide is going out, and we're about to find out who's actually a good swimmer in it.
Where do you define the line? Like, who survives this and who doesn't?
I speak with a lot of people in the industry, and some are able to save money either on staff or on the efficiencies within the brokerage. And the market just tanked, right, for the past few years, past 2, 3 years, and brokerages are in trouble. That's no secret. There's not a lot of money. The volume is completely down. It's down like 50, 60% since the peak. So less deals are being done. That means less money for the brokerage, less money for the agent. So it's forcing everybody to try and survive, to redefine their business models and do all that. And so in that redefinition of a business model, AI has got to take a role. And it is for the people that know how to use it. If they're not firing staff, which I actually haven't heard of many people being fired because of AI, but they're reassigning their roles to do something else, right? So, for example, a deal administrator that is basically responsible for looking at papers, writing in, some stuff into our software. Um, that work can fully be automated. So why not grab that administrator and now turn them into something, a different role for the agents, our clients, and all of a sudden the agents are able to produce more marketing, better marketing, a million different things, right? So I don't think anyone's losing jobs because of AI, and I don't think agents are being replaced by AI, but those roles are changing. The ones that are going to lose they're going to naturally lose to the agents that use it. to the offices that use it.
Were there any moments that you ever began to worry about your profession and your industry?
It's a good question. And look, as I said, I don't think AI is going to replace real estate agents, but it's destroying that the information monopoly that the job was quietly built on. For 40 years, agents were the the gatekeepers of data. Well, that gate is completely gone. Um, the work is really splitting into there's like this commodity half. The stuff of like pulling comps, drafting descriptions, paperwork, all that stuff is going to like a near zero cost because AI can just do it. And but the judgment half, dealing with a nervous seller, pricing a home, reading a room in a bidding war, and ultimately being legally on the hook, that's getting more and more valuable. So what I'm worried about is what it's going to do to the agents that kind of like, let the ship sail and they back away and they just let it go. But the excitement half of that is that the people that will learn and realize the importance of this will do really, really well and will be this new breed of agents that we're going to have coming into the industry that I can't wait to work with, to have more and more of them. And it's exciting times. It's different. It's not like in the past when, oh, the internet came out and stuff. And, that was supposed to like make us way more productive and all that. Which I suppose it did, right? But we just ended up working more and being connected more and
More
all that.
distracted, yeah.
Yeah, distracted, exactly, right? Like, and it made a big change in work things, but this is even bigger than that, obviously. And I'm a positive person by nature, and I'm positive about AI and its use. I'd rather focus on the good stuff, the positive stuff.
Hmm. And you mentioned this earlier, but on the client side, obviously, home buyers are using AI. You can open an AI tool, type in an address, get a full market report in like what, under a minute?
Sure.
And you get your similar recent sales nearby, a price estimate. What was your reaction when you first saw that?
Well, I mean, we've always been sort of battling with that in our industry. We had in Canada, we had like in the GTA, we've got like House Sigma. And now, oh my God, buyers and sellers are going to be able what properties sold for, and oh, that's gonna destroy the industry and do all that. And realistically, um, it's sort of like an objection we deal with all the time. And it's not really valid. Look, liability and our license can't be automated, right? A model can't hold a real estate license. It can't owe you a fiduciary duty. It can't be accountable to the regulator. And when it's the biggest purchase of someone's life, someone has to be like legally on the hook. You can't prompt that, right? When we walk into houses, the smell of the house, the fact that they've got a whole bunch of cats. I've got 3 cats. No, no, not saying anything bad about people with cats, but uh knowing those things in 10 seconds, it's not stuff that AI can do. When we feel a seller talk themselves out of a good offer, we have a job to do to really explain it to them that, whoa, you're making a mistake. AI can't do that, right? Like it's pattern recognition that's earned over hundreds of hours and offers and deals that just can't be scraped off the internet. So we've always dealt with people doing that. We had a situation where a buyer did exactly that. They purchased a home conditional on home inspection. They ran it through AI, and there was small issues with the home inspection. Well, the AI came back and said, "Oh yeah, no, you're right. You should absolutely ask for a $70,000 price reduction." And it was like maybe $4 or $5,000 of work. It wasn't that much at all. And the deal fell apart, right?
Ouch.
The deal fell apart because AI was telling somebody it's $70,000 and that somebody chose to listen to AI rather than a professional, someone who knows what they're doing. And so, yeah, people are using it. It's always been used. And I've used it for purposes outside of real estate, obviously, as everyone has. And I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, I'm the one that's right. in this insurance claim that's falling apart that I know nothing about the laws, I'm the one that's right because my AI is telling me. I turned out to be wrong, right? So unless you have this higher level knowledge from experience, years in the business, I don't know. You have to have that first.
Hmm.
So I don't think it's something that AI can do.
Yeah, and speaking of sort of horror stories, there was a story earlier this year where a Quebec brokerage had to publicly apologize after AI edited listing photos made a home's windows and garage
Yep.
look bigger. They added a fence, they lit up the inside.
Look beautiful.
Has anything like that ever happened in your world where AI got something wrong that you had to deal with directly?
No, not yet. But that was a big story that came out. It added a bunch of windows. The property looks so nice, and it wasn't that. But it's ultimately the agent is responsible for. They're an independent contractor. They are responsible for what they put out. You can't misrepresent a property, basically. And pictures and videos, all that is part of that rule as well. So there's some rules about it. Will agents continue to not read the rules, all the rules, the details, make mistakes? Yeah. Fortunately, it hasn't caught up to us yet, but there's happens in every industry.
And looking to the future, what is the role of a real estate agent, broker? What does it look like in 5 years?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a higher sort of level of, call it, agent to managing broker ratio for one, right? Because a lot of that stuff can be passed off. I think um, in an office, a brokerage level, they're going to have to continue to find those efficiencies and to use those efficiencies actively. Otherwise, they'll be out competed. The industry's already going through a big change with the market, and they're struggling. So without AI, how can they remain efficient? They can't, right? In terms of numbers, net numbers, I don't think we're going to see a lot of agents leaving the industry, or they'll at least be replaced by new agents because it is a great industry to work in. Um, it'll just have to come with a new set of skills, obviously, a new skill set. And without that, people will not be able to operate. The job of the real estate agent is becoming uh, more and more important in terms of like handling the emotional side of things, the negotiation side of things, all those things that really require a human, not a robot, not a chat box and whatever. Um, so this forces agents to sort of redefine their value proposition, the things that they do well. It is highly, highly a human profession where people have to be face to face, not even on the phone, not even on Zoom. You've got to be sitting there with someone. Look, 11 o'clock at night, you're dealing with a buyer or a seller and something's turning south and they're worried. Maybe the bank is coming after them now because the market is just, it's turned so bad and they have to sell. And AI doesn't know the situation. It doesn't know how to speak to somebody um, in an emotional capacity. It doesn't have that, and it never will. That's why I say it's not replacing real estate agents. It won't. It's not
Hmm.
able to.
It's your sidekick.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Well, David, thank you so much for this really interesting conversation. And you're such an optimist, and it seems like you're really, taking this AI transformation head on and embracing it and passing on the wisdom to others.
Absolutely. And as I said, I'm a positive person, but I also let me just add one point is that I understand the importance of AI. The last thing I would want to see is for AI to become a technocracy where only the rich have access to it. Because realistically, the more people that have access to it, the more productive they are, the better it is for the country itself.
Thanks for listening to The Drift, how Canadians are navigating AI. If you or someone you know is doing something interesting with AI in their industry, I want to hear about it. Find me on Instagram at The Drift Canada. I'm Alia Adam. Bye for now.